Oh, hello there, and good afternoon, and welcome to Verses and Paragraphs. Sorry, I'm starting a little bit late. Today is the 26th of April 2018, and of course, it's another bright and sunny day. Now, this one had a very early start, and because I had an early start, I wasn't able to go online and check out what we'll talk about this. I thought, let's do some revision. After all, when you teach, you have to revise so people can know whether what has been taught maybe you might have forgotten. So we'll do a little bit of revision. For those who have heard it before, it will be revision for you, and for those who haven't heard it before, of course, it will be something new. So today we want to be talking about French words in English. So we are revisiting French words in English. Now, did you know that about 29% of the English words come from French? Most of the words we use every day, you'll be surprised to discover that they come from French. I'd like to welcome Terra Cargo for the live broadcast. Mukhtar Bako Musa is watching from somewhere in the north. Femi Ajibode, the how do you call it, the mayor, also the mayor himself. Thank you so much for joining our live broadcast. And of course, my sister-in-law is watching from Edinburgh. Thank you for the live broadcast. I started off by saying that I had an early start this morning, and because I had an early start, I had to leave on very early. I didn't have time enough to go online and then look for what to talk about. So we'll be talking about something we've done before. For those who have heard it before, to be a revision. For people like the Melo Hall, it'll be a revision. And for the rest of you who haven't heard it before, it will be something new. So they will be talking about French words in English. Now, do you know that about 20% English from French? Hello, says yay. Now, after the Norman conquest of 1066, Old French became the language of the elite in the UK. Just like when in Nigeria here, people will be talking that, okay, if you speak good English, British English, then you become one of it. I'll be telling you the story about the Norman conquest, but first, for 300 years, Norman was the language the British elite used to distinguish itself from the population. Back then, speaking French was a clear way to say I'm not like most people. But even today, do you know that I still find French quite elitist? I have my friend Abigail, and she speaks French, and the way she rattles it off, I am so impressed by the way she speaks. And I don't know whether the rest of you, it happens to you when you have a friend or so, and you just see the friend speaking French so naturally like they're speaking English. So you can imagine if way back then the British people thought that by speaking French they are elitist. So now let's talk about the Norman conquest. What was the Norman conquest, or what is the Norman conquest? Now, we understand that the Norman conquest of England was the 11th century invasion and occupation of England of Norman, Breton, and French soldiers led by Duke William II of Normandy, later called William the Conqueror. On December 25, 1066, William was crowned the new King of England. Now, how did he become this King of England? Because he was a Frenchman. Now, history has it that William of Normandy, his cousin then was that his name? Edward is something I can't remember. Anyhow, his cousin came to visit him in France, and then while he was there, he made his cousin promise him that when he died, he, William, who was a Frenchman, would now take over England. Ali Gadanga, thank you so much for joining our live broadcast. Today we're talking about how 29% words of English come from the French language, and we're talking about the Norman conquest. Now, when the Edward died, another man came in and was crowned king. But William of Normandy said, no, I have been promised the throne. The other man died early in January and then the next person was crowned the following day. And so on the 25th of December 1066, he invaded England. And when he invaded England, he took over the throne. He was crowned the throne. Now, beyond the fact that he was crowned the new king of England, the Norman conquest brought an important change in English history for a number of reasons. The conquest linked England more closely with continental Europe and made Scandinavian influence less important. Now, there were a couple of things, or a number of things that happened because of the Norman invasion of England. One of them was that every major church in England was rebuilt as a result of the Norman conquest. Then secondly, the Norman conquest introduced castles to Britain. Castles were a French invention. And by the time of William's death in 1087, 500 castles had been built across England and Wales. Then, as a result of the Norman conquest, more than 100,000 people died. Of course, when there's war and battle, that's what happened. Then the Normans introduced chivalry to Britain. Chivalry is polite, kind, and unselfish behavior, especially by men towards women. But in this case, before 1066, when William took over, the English political elite had routinely resorted to murdering their political rivals, as they would do again in the later Middle Ages. But for more than 2 centuries after the conquests, chivalry prevailed. Good morning, and this is Essay and her children of Daffy and Angel, watching from Mesquite in Dallas, Texas. We're doing a revision of sorts today, guys, and we're talking about how about 29% of English words are from the French language. I was talking about what the Normans introduced to Britain. And this one, I really like this particular one because before they came in, if you had a political rival, Ayanka just cut off his neck. I don't know whether that sounds familiar to you, but when the Normans came into England, they changed all of that. And so no man dared to slay another man, no matter what wrong he had done. So political killing now became taboo in England after the French had conquered, after the French invaded England. It's called the Norman conquest of 1066. And maybe when we finish, you could Google it and read it up there. A little bit of history doesn't hurt. Then another thing which I find strange, or when I was reading it up, I found strange, was that William banned the English slave trade. I thought it was only, I didn't know that the English actually had slave trade. I didn't know they were slave traders. But they said in pre-conquest England, at least 10% of the population and perhaps as much as 30% were slaves. And slaves were treated as human chattel, movable property, and could be sold, beaten, and branded as their masters saw fit. It was a sin to kill a slave, but not a crime. However, when the Normans took over England, they hastened the demise of this system. So when the Normans came, they actually banned and stopped the English slave trade. Okay, I was trying to tell you why he invaded England. Okay, I think they called him his cousin. I was talking about his cousin. His cousin was Edward. I'm trying to remember what they called him that time. Edward something. Anyway, he laid claim to the English throne after Edward died. He was a distant cousin. I don't know. I find this very, very interesting. How you will say you are from one country. Your cousin, your distant cousin, will not be saying a close one. Your distant cousin is king in another country, and you say just because he came to visit you, okay, when you die, I want to take over England. And I don't know whether that one actually agreed, but history has it that he actually agreed and that he promised him he would. Okay, his name was Edward the Confessor. So when Edward the Confessor, who was the then king of England, died on the 5th of January 1066, Another powerful noble called Harold Godwinson. He was a good soldier, a gifted politician. He was not of royal birth, nor did he have a direct blood link to the king, but somehow, he took over the throne. So when Edward the Confessor died on the 5th of January 1066, Harold Godwinson took over on the 6th. Now, here another gist again. This Harold, some years back, had been shipwrecked in France, and then he was handed over to William of Normandy, who forced him to swear an oath that, okay, when my cousin came here, he promised me the throne. Now, I'll allow you to go back to England, but when you go back to England, make sure that when Edward dies, I take over the throne. And that one agreed. So he swore an oath. He didn't know that the oath that he swore was over a box which contained the bones of a saint. And then, if you swore an oath like that, it was really binding. However, when Edward the Confessor died, Harold now took over the throne the following day. So, of course, William of Normandy didn't like that one, and he now traveled all the way to England and took over the throne. Now, I'd like to read you some of the words that we use every day that are actually of French origin. Bourgeois, brunette. Okay, brunette. We don't have brunette here in Africa. That one is for the white people when you talk about brunettes. Then chauffeur. I said chauffeur. At least we use chauffeur here in Nigeria. Yes. Chic as in someone who is stylish. A depot, when you say you're going to the depot to go and buy drinks, or you're going to the depot to go and buy cement or flour. Depot, D-E-P-O-T, is actually a French word which found its way into English. Déjà vu. Some people even name their restaurants or their companies Déjà vu. Then eau de cologne. Eau de cologne is actually a French word which found its way into the English language. En route. So where you go say I'm en route to the airport. En route is actually French. Then entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, which is seen as an English word, is actually a French word. Like I said earlier on, 29% of English words are of French origin. Then fiance and fiancé, they are all French words. Joie de vivre, toilette, we say eau de toilette. Then RSVP is actually répondez s'il vous plaît, reply if you please. But Nigerians say it is rice and soup, very plenty. Bon voyage, like just have a safe trip. Cliché, a bouquet that women carry on their wedding days, and then after the wedding they flip it over their head so that their friends can catch. That is actually a French word. Boutique. We have so many boutiques and different kinds of boutiques. Boutiques for men, boutiques for women, boutiques for children, all kinds of boutiques. Boutique is also a French word which found its way into English. Then the coup. Nigeria likes coup. So coup is actually a French word. A la carte. Hey, Nigerians like a la carte. So I'm going to go and eat a la carte. Oh, Lua Funto is not watching now. She was the one who told us what the meaning of a la carte is. Then ballet. Nigerians pronounce it ballet. It's not ballet, it's ballet. Ballet, where you have your children after school, you go and dance ballet. You go and learn ballet. Bon appetit for when you want to eat. Bureau, bureau de change. Bureau. The let's say bureau. Maybe I think bureau is actually means an office. Then cafe, where people go to go and browse or do things. That man is a charlatan. Charlatan is a French word which has found its way into English. Then click, communicate. All these organizations, when they have a meeting, they like, okay, you're going to write a communique. Then comme ci, comme ça. Crèche. Crèche, everybody knows that a crèche is where you have little children who are taken care of nannies. A crèche is actually a French word. Decor, so I love the decor. When you find somebody going to somebody's house and it's looking beautiful, say love decor. Then the dossier, say I have a complete and full dossier on the man. liaison office. If you go to major cities in the country, you have the liaison offices of the different states. Liaison is a French word. Montage, for those of you who do lots of editing, montage is actually a French word. Then omelette made of eggs. Omelette is French. Panache, she said the guy has got panache. Rapport, then the man is a retard. Sabotage, I didn't even know. I mean, it was doing this research I discovered that sabotage is actually a French word. Then saboteur. Silhouette, say please take my picture in silhouette. Then tete-a-tete, which means head to head. Nigerians will say tete-a-tete. Television is actually a French word. And then we have vis-a-vis, face to face with. Then the next thing I would like to talk about, which is also, we're still on revision here. For those of you who have watched before, it's revision. For those who have not listened to it, this will be something new you're going to learn. We're talking about a palindrome. Now, what is a palindrome? Oh, and there's my cousin Mayro Ozako watching. I don't know whether she's still in America, whether she's back to Nigeria. But Mayro, thank you for joining our live broadcast. Today, we are talking about the fact that 29% words of English are from French. And then the next thing I want to talk about is a palindrome. A palindrome is a word, phrase, number, or sequence of words that reads the same backwards as forwards. Punctuation and space between the words or lettering is allowed. Now I'll give you an example. Okay, the longest single word palindrome in the English language, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is the onomatopoeic tataratat, which was coined by James Joyce in Ulysses for a knock on the door. Tataratat. So if you write down tataratat now, you spell it and then you want to spell it backwards, they spell the same way, and that is called a palindrome. Now, some of the famous palindromes, okay, I'll give you single word palindromes, like the word or the name Anna. Anna is spelled A-N-A, Anna. If you spell it forwards, it is Anna. If you spell it backwards, it's also Anna. So I'll read out a list of words. You have civic, kayak. Remember last year when there was a flood in Lagos, one white man put out his kayak and was ferrying people across. I think it was on Ahmadu Bello in Victoria Island when the road flooded. And level, L-E-V-E-L. Madam spells the same way forward as backwards. And all these words are palindromes. A palindrome is a word, phrase, number, or sequence of words that reads the same way forwards as it does backwards. Now you could have a sentence that reads forwards and backwards, and then for you to get the palindrome effect, you can put punctuation or spaces. Mom, M-O-M. Dad, D-A-D. Dad. You have noon, racer, radar, redder, R-E-W-E-R, refer, R-E-F-E-R, repaper, rotator, rotor, sagas, solos, tenet, wow, deified, minim, murdrum, killing somebody, unknown. Then we also have multiple word palindromes, and like I said, if you have multiple word palindrome, like in the sentence, okay, I tell you don't nod. Now if you want to write it back, you are allowed to remove the T from the don't and put it to the nod, and it reads the same way forwards as it does backwards. I did I? It's a multiple word palindrome. My gym. Red rum, sir, is murder. Step on no pets. Top spots. These are all multiple word palindromes. Was it a cat I saw? Was it a cat I saw? Eva, can I see bees in a cave? No lemon, no melon. All these are multiple words palindromes. Now I would like to give you our word for the day. When I saw it this morning, I found it very, 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 very funny. And our word for today is, where is it? Our word for today is frugivorous. Frugivorous. And it's spelled Frugivorous. Frugivorous. I'll hold it up so you can see. Frugivorous. So Frugivorous. Frugivorous. And you know what frugivorous means? It means fruit eating. So if you love eating fruits, you're a frugivorous person. You love eating apples, you love eating bananas, you love eating fruit. You're a fruit eating person. Although bats are frugivorous because you have fruit bats. But any human being, any person who likes eating fruits a lot is frugivorous. Now I want to end this broadcast because I'm sitting on the balcony and the sun is burning my knees and my legs. I like to look for a quotable quote for you today from the past. And so I'm looking for a quotable quote. Like I said earlier on, I left home very early and I wasn't able to do anything. Okay. All right. This is a quotable quote for daily inspiration. A film, a piece of theater, a piece of music, or a book can make a difference. It can change the world. Now, on Verses and Paragraphs, we like talking a lot about books. We're trying to encourage bringing back the book in Nigeria. And we're trying to encourage the fact that readers are leaders and writers rule. So if you're a writer, you rule. And if you're a reader, you can become a leader. So this quotable quote is for daily inspiration. A film, a piece of theater, a piece of music, or a book can make a difference. It can change the world. And this quotable quote was written by Alan Rickman, who was an English actor and director known for playing a variety of roles on stage and on screen. And so today we've been talking about the fact that there are about 29% of English words are of French origin, and how they came into English was when William, the Duke of Normandy, he invaded England in 1066, and then when he invaded England, of course, French became the elitist way of speaking. And he always said, so I'm not like other people because I speak French. And that was how French words became a part of English language. And I read you a host of the words that we use every day that are actually of French origin. Some of the words are montage, omelette, panache, rapport, retard, sabotage, saboteur. My sister is feeling so from Hello says this word. Actually, like 3/4 of my body is in the sun because it's very hot, and that's why I'm really sweating. Anyhow, I think I'll end this broadcast because aside from the sun, chop my legs, it is hot. So I hope you have learned something today from the fact that 29% of English words are of French origin, and talk about palindromes. Palindromes are words which are spelled the same way forwards as they are backwards. And our word for today is frugivorous, and frugivorous means fruit eating. Now, if you missed this broadcast, if you like to listen to this broadcast all over, it will be on my Facebook page. Failing that, you can go to my YouTube channel where you find this broadcast and other broadcasts that you can learn something from. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining live broadcast today from Mesquite, Ovo, Dafe, and Angel. Thank you for joining from Mesquite, Dallas, Texas. Thank you. Abuja, from Lagos, from sorry, I know that I don't know whether you'll come back, but Myra is supposed to be in America, and every other person who has joined. I don't know where Ali Kadanga is watching from, but thank you so much for being on our show today. Tomorrow is another day. Thank you and have a blessed rest of the day. Bye bye.